Take it slow, but it's not typical. He already knows that my love is fire. His heart was a stone, but then his hands rolled. I turned him to gold and it took him higher. But I'll be a daydream, I'll wear your favorite things. We could be beautiful, get drunk on the good life. I'll take you to paradise. Say you'll never let me go. Deep in my bones, I can feel you. Take me back to a time only we knew how to wait. We could waste a night with an old film, smoke a little weed on the couch in the back room, how to wait. Say you'll never let me go. 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 Deep in my bones, I can feel you. Take me back to a time only we knew how to wait. We could waste a night with an old film, smoke a little weed on the couch in the back room, how to wait. Say you'll never let me go. Say you'll never let me go.
Good morning to all the audience here today in São José dos Pinhais in Curitiba. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our colleagues, clients, suppliers, and partners around the world that are joining us live. My name is Duarte. I'm the Vice President for Performance and Transformation Subsea Brazil, and it's a huge privilege for me to welcome you all to the 6th edition to the Innovation Week Subsea Brazil. And the first edition took place in 2017, and since then, we have been transforming year after year with several incremental innovations. And this year, for the first time, we are promoting sessions that are completely open to the ecosystem. For nearly 200 years, we can state that Aker Solutions has changed the world, and definitely the world has changes. From a company linked to shipbuilding, to our current connection to the energy markets and a strong position on the future energy transition, we can say that Aker Solutions brings innovation to its DNA. Recently, together with our purpose to solve the energy challenges for the future generations, we have defined 4 attitudes that we believe that are vital to promote innovation. Our attitude of solutioneers that make us a company that solves the most difficult challenges for our customers with optimism and determination. Our changemaker attitude that ensures that we are experienced in making changes, always challenging the accepted truths and accelerating transformation. Our people have a co-creating attitude. We are capable to mobilize our collective wisdom and also the capability to improve every day. And last but not the least, our safeguarder attitude, that it's used to protect what we have conquered so far and also to guaranteeing that we have a sustainable innovation future ahead of us. Our Innovation Week have the sole purpose to make a stop from our busy day. And this is really my recommendation to you today. Just, stop from your busy day and have this amazing opportunity to receive new insights internally and from the ecosystem, to share and learn, but fundamentally to make some reflections and to take time to make some reflections where we are today and where we want to be in the future. This year we'll have 2 full days of content for both our employees and also the external community. Our teams are divided in 4 pillars: culture of innovation, the innovation radar, a sustainability-oriented innovation, and a digital connection. We will have 8 content sessions, some plus internal activities in the company. And we will have the opportunity to learn with 18 guests. We are important names for innovation, national and in an international arena. I would like to conclude stating that if our people is the special sauce, we believe that innovation is the key ingredient of how Aker Solutions are powering the change towards the energy transition ahead of us. Our Innovation Week clearly illustrates how we want to make that change. In sequence, we will let you with a short video that illustrates how we are powering the change inside Aker Solutions. I declare open the Innovation Week of 2022, and I want to wish you an amazing 2 days, and please, just have fun. And now, I will hand over to Paulo Chiquito, our innovation leader of Aker Solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Duarte.
Sorry, guys. It's not gonna work. It could be a huge deal for reducing emissions, but the numbers just don't add up.
We've solved hard problems before, but none as important as this. The scientists have spoken, it's going too slow. Have I lost my flow? Am I part of the problem? I've spoken, got it wrong, and ended up embarrassed. Define myself by what I can't do, focused on what fell through. But we only fail when we don't try. Despite the hiccups and mistakes that may surround us, if we can still generate new thoughts, we are boundless. If we share our ideas, let our teachers teach and our preachers preach, our new heights are reached, for we dared to dream, we are not only brave, we are powerful. Together, we will power the change.
Then, what do you think to power the change with us? Solve real problems. Well, my name is Paulo Chiquito. I'm a Research, Development, Innovation Lead in Aker Solutions Brazil, Subsea. And it's an honor and immense privilege to be here and introduce this event to you. Well, today I will give you some spoiler of our agenda. We will have 2 days of full of content. And today we will start with Learn Agility and how it's connected with our day life. In the sequence, we will have an interesting panel about energy transition in the local market. These 2 sessions we will be presenting in English, and in the afternoon, we will shift to the sessions in Portuguese. Well, in the afternoon, then we will have an external case presented around ESG and the LSCA, and connecting with actions performed by Aker Solutions. And finally, to close the agenda of the day, a good discussion around innovation ecosystem. The same structure is expected for tomorrow. 2 sessions in English and after 2 sessions in Portuguese. And we start introducing tomorrow about digital twins and its different approaches. Later on the day, we will have presentations of cases about digital transformations in the companies. And do you know how to balance the low carbon solutions during the energy transition? I know that is a very difficult question to be answered, and is exactly our speakers will present in this session. And to close our event, let's debate about innovation management and how to do things better. Well, I've talked too much, and I wish you could get inspired, collaborate, participate. After all, innovation is essentially made by people. And to start our first session, I'd like to invite here Chiara and Luiz Duarte to initiate our first session. Thank you so much.
So welcome everyone, thank you all for joining. It's a big pleasure to be here presenting this session today, Learning Agility, something that is in the big context nowadays. So really happy to be here. Thank you, Chiara, also for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this, as you can see, the Innovation Week in Brazil is developing a lot over the years. Yeah, so this year is the first year that we are broadcasting outside the company, and it's a big pleasure to present this content to our suppliers, our customers, and external people that feel connected, besides, of course, the important people that we have in the company. It's really good to be here. Talking about the presenters we'll have here, we have Chiara. She is a key person that we have inside the Performance and Transformation team. We are supposed to have Andrea Maciel, but she had an issue that couldn't attend today, so then I thank you, Chiara, to be part of this session today. And yeah, giving some, first of all, let me present myself for those who doesn't know me. So my name is Luiz Duarte. I'm working in the company since 2008. Next year I will be finishing 15 years already here. It's a big pleasure. And I'm currently heading the Lean journey for the subsea environment in the company. Some general information here. As Chiquito just presented, this is the first day of the Innovation Week, and we'll be talking here about the first pillar of innovation, which is the innovation culture. It's probably one of the most important of those. And this session will be recorded and will be making this session available on the YouTube channel of Aker Solutions Brazil, so you can have access after we finish this session. And if you have any questions, the Q&A will be on the platform, on the Event3 platform. Even for those who are here, please submit your questions on the Event3 platform, because then in the end we will be answering those. So it's obvious that the world is changing. The world we live in is changing, and this is a reality for everybody. The fast-paced transformation we are facing, it's generating a lot of complexity, and the big question here is, how can we deal with those changes that are happening every time? How can we face that to have a better fit into this new future that is already here? It's not in the future anymore. It's here. We are living this on a daily basis. We had COVID recently. We have a war happening. At this moment, we had like a boat that got stuck into a channel that create the supply chain a lot of complexity. So how can we deal with those changes and transformations that are here already? And the answer is the learning agility. We have to understand how to better fit into this future and how we can make ourselves adaptable to what will emerge, that is already emerging. How can we be more into that one? And this is an interesting topic that I personally feel so connected. I'm really enthusiastic about personal development, people development, and organizational development. This is one of my preferred topics. And when I look back at my career, at a certain moment I was more, I would say, passive about it and really focused on the technical skills. But then I realized that just the technical skills wouldn't allow me to solve the problems I want to take and that I had at the moment. So then in terms of 6 years, I had 5 different positions. I decided to accept different challenges, and then I worked in several different areas. I passed through from engineering, product engineering, to quality assurance, then manufacturing. After that, IT, and then now working in the transformation team inside the performance and transformation group. And this is interesting because when I look back, I realize how much it changed my perception about the complexity of the job we do and the relations we build at the job with the customers, suppliers, and internally. But not just that, how having this more holistic understanding of the way we do the things, how can we really identify better ways to solve the issues? And this is really funny. At a certain moment, I started to look back also, and I feel so different than I was before. And it's interesting because when I started to do some researches on that, especially on people development and organizational development, I found some answers on how and why this happened. And studies from like Robert Keegan, Ken Wilber, Bill Thorpe, those are key persons who are analyzing that and how it impacts our own development, people development, organizational development, innovation, of course, and the human race by itself, how we can collectively solve the issues we are having to better impact our planet. And it's about those topics, those really interesting topics we'll be talking today. So really happy to be here. And then I invite also José Vicente to be part of the conversation. Just a minute. So José Vicente holds a PhD from the Federal University of Santa Catarina, and he has over 25 years of corporate and academic experience. He's founding partner at Integral Works and designer of the Integral Leadership Program at 5 business schools, where he teaches in the areas of leadership, strategy, and organization, and had been the business school dean from 2013 until the beginning of this year. And he also co-authored the book Integral Leadership, The Evolution of Human Beings in Organizations. So how can we connect these concepts? This will be a really interesting conversation. It's a pleasure to have you here, José Vicente.
Thank you very much, Luiz. Okay, I'm just get used to the mic. Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for those who are watching from abroad. It's a big pleasure to be here with you today. We'll be, approaching some very interesting topics for, companies and people today. I think Luiz have, provided us with a very interesting introduction on the topic. And I'm sure that we're going to have a very good time here discussing these topics. First of all, I would like to thank the invitation for being here today. It's a big pleasure and an honor to share these moments and be able to share just a little bit of my experience with you, and also learn from Aker experiences regarding learning and innovation. That will be, for sure, a very interesting experience for me. So thank you very much, and let's get started.
Yeah. So thank you. And then I will ask the first question to Chiara. So Chiara, today there is a huge pursuit for learning. This is like a big thing that it's a hype of the moment, yeah, and it's an important thing. So how the Aker approaches that in terms of the learning or journey inside the organization? How do you see that?
Before I answer that, I just would like to say that it's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm here experiencing learning agility, replacing Andrea Maciel in English. But I'm glad to be here and to see that the first moment that we have here is about people. When we talk about innovation, we start from people. And we have this example here in our agenda. And before, again, answer your question, I would like also to invite you to learn a little bit about growth mindset. I don't know if you heard about this concept. It was a concept created by Carol Dweck, a psychologist just like me. And she started observing some children and how they learn. And one day she just gave a challenge to them. It was a puzzle. And she observed that a group of the children received the puzzle like that. Wow, a challenge. This will be exciting. I will learn today. But there was another group that received this puzzle and this challenge like that. Oh my God, this will be difficult. And this talks a little bit about how we operate when we see a difficult moment or a challenge. Do we see as an opportunity to learn, or do we see as a blocker? So I invite you all to have a growth mindset today, and in this week to learn a little bit more about innovation. A good day is a day where we learn something new, and to me is a new opportunity to be here as well. Regarding Aker Solutions, we start the learning journey with a robust onboarding program, receiving very well people. We also invest a lot in the early career programs. So we have today our learning journey for our interns, where we share a lot about our attitudes, soft skills that you mentioned before. And we have a lot of programs that I will mention later. But what we believe here is that we learn 70% on the job. So we give a lot of opportunity for our people to learn, doing by themselves new projects, new process, experiencing something new. We also believe that we learn 20% from others. So we do a lot of coaching. We prepare a lot our leaders to facilitate the learning process with our employees. And we have some moments with people that are very experienced like this. And we believe that 10% we can learn from formal learning. And we have a lot of content to share with you. We have the Coursera that was recently launched, where we have a lot of content about soft and hard skills. We have the Subsea portal training. We have the Engineering Academy. So we have a lot of opportunity to learn. It depends, of course, on your growth mindset again.
Really good, Chiara. I think you brought really interesting points, and thank you for that. So now I want to ask José Vicente, because in Aker, José Vicente, one of the main systems to generate learnings is the Lean. We have the Lean philosophy, and of course, everything that Chiara said, with the Lean also on that context. How do you see this connection between the learning systems and the learning itself?
Very good question. Sorry, I must watch for. I'm almost swallowing the mic. Okay. I think lean manufacturing and lean programs in general, they can be, essentially they can be, learning programs. That's what I think, because if you think about continuous improvement, and that's what lean programs are about. If you think about continuous improvement is regarding, improving results. Improving results demand change in behaviors from the part of the people that are performing the job, and changing behaviors demand learning. So I think this makes, lean programs probably one of the best ways for an organization to implement, large-scale learning within them. I think this is a big opportunity to learn. So, but that's for sure one of the main points regarding learning, and also regarding lean programs, is that people are supposed to learn. So I have been studying lean programs for probably 20 years, and have already practiced a bit and coordinated some of these programs as a corporate coordinator before. And what I see is that many companies and many people don't see lean programs as learning opportunities actually, and they try to. I think that there's a improvement suggestion concept tends to make people think that lean is all about a very shallow involvement from the operational level, and that the operational level will be able to make contributions to improvement with their current level of knowledge, and that's not true, okay? So for a lean program to succeed, actually, there will be needed lots of learning from the operational people in the company, and they'll have to be challenged, like Chiara pointed out. So there's forget about just small improvement suggestions. That won't be actual lean and actual learning. It's just a way to start, right? It's a very good way to start, but not the way to promote actually learning within the company. And so I think that challenging operational level people and challenging leaders, with big challenges. I mean, things that actually demand them to leave their comfort zone. This is a very common term nowadays, but not many people know exactly what it means. And so they might be able to leave their comfort zone, and that's all about like Chiara said, the growth mindset. Growth mindset is about feeling comfortable in the uncomfort zone. That's pretty much about it. So that's what I think that lean can be probably. I think when well implemented, and I know that Aker solutions have been implemented. Your program have been implemented for such a long time, and it's very consistent. It's a very rigorous, very serious, and I'm sure that it is, such a, very important learning initiative, for sure.
Really good, and I think it all depends on the approach, because some people see the lean as like a bunch of tools that you can implement, a bunch of methods, but it's way beyond that. It's a new way to perceive the things and how we deal with that. Yeah. So really good point. And I want you to bring some insights from the academia. So how is the academia perceiving this topic specifically, the learning systems, and how can we use this concept into the organizations?
Very good question. Well, from the beginning of the 21st century until probably 2010 or 2015, I think that knowledge management was the main issue regarding lean programs and organizational learning. So especially we Westerners, we were so concerned about that tacit knowledge and explicit knowledge and how to combine them and how to make learning really effective by combining both types of knowledge. And so it came Nonaka and Takeushi's spiral of knowledge. And I think until 2015, most of the more interesting works on the academy were related to that. I think that was the greatest challenge for us. But nowadays we have a different challenge, because those companies that have implemented that combination of tacit knowledge and explicit knowledge in a good manner, in a good way, that have actually considered and take that into account, those companies face more complex challenges, in order to keep learning and keep improving their results. So that's suddenly somehow people were faced with a different sort of improvement that demanded a different sort of mind. I mean, from the people that were involved on those improvement or improving efforts. And that's what probably the most hot topic in academy today. Luiz mentioned Robert Keegan from Harvard. We had lots of other researchers and professors that have been addressing this topic with different names, from Ken Wilber's level of consciousness to Beck and Cohen's values, and many other people like Suzanne Cook-Greuter and many other researchers. So they've been approaching this fact, the fact that adult people, they don't have like a stabilized way of thinking, a constant mental complexity. What I mean by that is that after we grow as adults, we will still developing our mind capacities, our thinking capacities, and by facing challenges during our careers, along our careers, we are able to develop more complex, ways of thinking, more complex thinking structures, and these structures enable us to face and solve more complex problems. So that's probably the hottest topic in the academia nowadays, I think.
Really nice. And inside this idea, we have two different developments. Yeah, we have the vertical development, which is increasing in terms of complexity, but we have also the horizontal development. So could you elaborate a little bit those principles?
Good, very good. Yeah, when we think about horizontal learning or horizontal development, it's pretty much about new techniques. It's pretty much about, we can say, like new behaviors that do not depend on developing a more complex mind, right? I think behaviors that are, aligned with our current complexity of mind, our current thinking complexity or level of consciousness, right? So then we are talking about horizontal development or horizontal learning, right? So when people are faced with problems that demand their current mental capacities, and they learn new techniques, a new approach to cope with those problems, and they solve their problems, these problems, you know, so we are talking about horizontal learning, right? So most of the times, people feel just, you know, slight discomfort right in the beginning, but as the learning process progresses, you know, that person will feel like, okay, that's really good. I'm learning. You know, I'm being able to have very good results in a short period of time. So that's great. So people tend to feel really good in a short period of time because they feel like, okay, I've been able to implement this new technique. I've been able to, you know, to change my behavior and adapt to the new circumstances. And so I feel very good. That's horizontal learning. That's horizontal development, right? I think most of you, most of the time, you know, are faced with this sort of development and learning most of the time, okay? But vertical learning and vertical development is a bit more complex. First of all, when we are faced with a situation that demands vertical development, we don't feel that slight discomfort. Actually, you can feel a slight discomfort right in the beginning, but as we try to learn a new technique, a new behavior, a new approach that demand a higher level of consciousness or a higher complexity of mind, right? Than the one we do have now, we feel that it's simply not working, okay? So I try to implement the new behavior and I can't, I simply can't. It doesn't work. You know, I don't have better results by trying to implement it. That new behavior or that new technique, it simply doesn't work. So that slight discomfort began to change into a big discomfort, okay? But good news are that, you know, this big discomfort is the first important sign that you're facing opportunity to increase your level of complexity in terms of thinking, increase your level of consciousness. So instead of, you know, going backwards, you know, okay, no, I will face the challenge. Okay, I'm feeling discomfort. Of course, people need support. You know, people need to feel supported by their peers, by their companies, by their leaders in order to face this sort of challenge. But most of all, we are talking about a sort of adaptive you know, learning. It's not a technical learning anymore, and that's changed everything. We've been hearing a lot about, you know, soft skills versus, you know, hard skills. We've been hearing a lot about it. But, you know, adaptive learning and consequently this vertical development is all about combining both. You gotta learning a new technique, but you gotta, you know, you gotta engage not only your mind and your cognitive capacities, okay, but you also have to engage your emotions. You also have to engage, you know, your interpersonal, you know, capabilities, you know. So that's the core of the vertical development, and that's why, you know, probably people, you know, emphasize so much nowadays soft skills training. That's what I think.
Really, really good. It's a complex theory, and it involves a lot of things. And people, when they see this kind of stuff, they normally think, okay, but this is just for leadership. So is this just for leadership?
Very good question. Very good question. Robert Keegan, probably Keegan is the person in the world that have been dealing with this topic for the longest period of time. You know, he's been researching this for more than 40 years. That's really very interesting. So Robert Keegan says that the VUCA world that we are living in now, it's not something that it's about to arrive anymore. You know, I think that most of you have been, you know, listening. Sort of, you know, the future has arrived, and that's it. That future, that VUCA world, yeah, that's now the current reality. And Keegan has been, you know, emphasizing a lot that we need to develop different and more complex levels of consciousness, not only to leadership positions, but also for operational jobs. Okay, right back in the beginning of, after the second industrial revolution, when our factories were all about, you know, that Fordist, Taylorist approach, you know, it was enough to have operational worker, a blue-collar worker, that, you know, think or has what we call like the egocentric or red level of consciousness. Right? That was enough, because, you know, you have a lot of division of the work, and there's no need for the thinking. So, and that's what enough. With time, and especially from mid 20th century, there was a big need for blue-collar works to work or to think from socialized mind or a blue level of consciousness, okay? And that's what we found in most companies nowadays. So we are talking about operational level, operational jobs, right? So what Keegan emphasizes is that the new reality for those jobs, I mean, we are talking about the fourth industrial revolution. We are talking about, you know, lots of technologies being employed in the shop floor level, right? And for those operational workers to succeed, nowadays they have been more and more demanded to develop altering mind or orange level of consciousness. And, you know, the bad news is that it's not available in most of the places, most of the companies. So it's a very important task for companies nowadays. And it's important also to get to know that people in the shop floor level will feel that discomfort I talked about a couple of minutes ago. So they will demand support. They demand lots of support. So when we think about mentoring and coaching for leaders, we have to start thinking about mentoring and coaching also for operational jobs, because they will be asked to grow. They will be asked to learn vertically in order for our companies to succeed. And that's very, very important. So companies are supposed to change their approach, their career approach from supporting with mentoring and coaching initiatives, only leadership, by employing all those sort of initiatives also to operational level. I think this is very important.
Yeah, and translating a little bit, it means that people will not just follow the standards. They will think beyond. They will challenge the way the things are done to create a better system for them and for the whole company itself. Yeah. So that's what it means to from emerging from the blue level, the most, let's say, collective one, into the more rational one.
Yeah. That's the greatest demand nowadays from operational level. I mean, and I have the opportunity to get in touch with the Aker Solutions Link program from Luiz have been putting in contact with this in the last 80 years, 10 years, I don't know how many, from how long we know each other anymore. Okay, but, and I know that you have already this spark here, you know, your learning, Aker Solutions learning in operational level, it goes up until some orange or altering mind level, you know. You have really a high involvement from the operational level in many situations. And that's what we can see in most of organizations when operational level is, you know, relegated to just, you know, that sort of improvement suggestions, and that's blue, that's socializing mind, that doesn't demand analyzing problems, that doesn't demand actual, you know, applying techniques to solve problems from the part of operational level. And so that's really important. We need to have this sort of initiatives in the shop floor level, but we also have to be concerned about developing our leadership. So it's not only operational level, not only about shop floor, but also leadership, you know, because most of leaders nowadays, they operate from altering mind or orange or sometimes green level of consciousness, but the VUCA world, you know, demands more and more that these leaders that will have to decide about very complex situations, you know, and not only complex, they'll have to decide faster. They'll have to decide with an agile approach, right? And in order to grasp the essentials, the patterns, you know, behind those problems, they have to develop what we call the yellow level of consciousness, or the self-transforming mind, like Keegan used to name it. And that's very important for leadership to actually be more and more effective with time as we progress and as we enter more and more a VUCA environment, and changes are getting faster, you know, things are getting even more uncertain and complex, and most of all, dealing with ambiguity is all about developing a self-transforming mind. That's really important.
This is really nice. I want you to elaborate a little bit what means the self-transforming mind, going a bit out of the script here, but I know that you have this background. And considering everything that we just saw, how this connects also not just with the personal and organizational evolution, but with the human evolution itself. And what do you see as the next trend after? Because we see this, it kind of connects with the ESG also. The growth in terms of awareness is bringing new approaches. One of those is the ESG. We have to worry. We are expanding our horizon of worry to the environment, to the community, and so on. And what do you see as the next big thing after the ESG?
Very good. You know, nowadays we see like there's been an ESG, you know, boom. You know, it's all over, and companies are really concerned with that. And the problem is that companies are really concerned with that, and customers are really getting concerned with that. And even, banking are really getting concerned with that. So companies need to develop their own ESG programs and initiatives in order to have access to more, interesting lines of financing, right? and this is a very important reason why many people are getting involved on that. So, and most of the current demands I have from companies in the market nowadays that, they have been already implementing ESG initiatives, and, they come to me and say, well, like that, okay, we have been implementing ESG, but we have been successful. This is sort of, we have been successful, but now we want to do it for real. Okay, it's like we've done that before, just to match the requirements, like the tangible requirements of the system. But now we want to make it for real. I mean, changing our culture and incorporating that in our culture. So that's the most common demand from companies that come to me nowadays and ask for some intervention from my part. And so this is all about changing level of consciousness, because as I mentioned before, most of leaders still think with the self-altering mind or orange level of consciousness, and they haven't internalized and they haven't changed their thinking structures to the green level of the individualist, pluralist level of thinking, of consciousness, that is required to implement ESG initiatives, right? So I think that the next step is implementing ESG for real. So this is the next big step that companies will face in terms of changing and cultural change and also learning. And after that, it will be for sure clear that changing mindsets, changing complexity of mind, of leadership, from altering minds and individualist, pluralist level of consciousness to the integrative levels of consciousness, I mean the self-altering mind, will be the next big step. Because you only notice what is beyond the changing process when you operate from a self-transforming mind, right? You can only notice what is beyond the transformation, because the self-altering mind and the green level of consciousness, especially the green level of consciousness, the green is not a coincidence, is the level of consciousness that is associated to all the, environmental and social, preserving and sustainability values, okay? But, despite that, this level of consciousness has, as the most fundamental underlying principle, the fact that there's no objective truth, right? So everything is like social constructed, right? So your perception from the reality depends on your values, but this sort of thinking doesn't consider that there's a deeper level of value internalization that comes even to mold, even to shape the way you think. And the green level of consciousness can't see that, can't notice that. So in order to notice that, you have to be able to develop this, the self-transforming mind, or the integrative, or yellow, or teal. And probably most of you have already heard of the teal level of consciousness. And that's what we're talking about when it say about when it say like about self-transforming mind.
Yeah, this is really nice, and how this also connects with the world transition we are facing, yeah? Because this, of course, if we evolve in terms of consciousness levels, this will create an impact in the environment we are, in the context we are, creating, by the end of the day, a better world, yeah? For
sure.
everybody, so this is really nice.
For sure.
Really good. So I have one question. Actually, I'm really surprised with a lot of insights I'm having during this session. It's been really good, really new stuff. Thank you.
So do I.
Thank you for this insightful session. And I have a question now to Chiara. So, considering these perspectives and everything we just said, how important is to expand our vision to the future and to be better prepared to the next challenges. And I see the company having a lot of movements. I remember in the beginning of the session, Duarte mentioned about the new behaviors, the new attitudes we have in the company. Of course, this is connected to the evolution of the consciousness levels that the company aims to achieve. So my question to you, Chiara, is how is your perception of today's sessions in general, and how people in Aker can, using these ideas here, how they can be better prepared for the future?
Wow, I learned a lot with you, José. Thank you for sharing your knowledge about it. I believe that we have a lot to apply in our daily lives. I would suggest to all that we should start from self-knowledge or self-awareness. This is the beginning. So knowing ourselves and know what we have as strength points, what we need to improve, and how we are open, how can we be open to these opportunities that he mentioned. We have also to learn a lot about emotional intelligence and relations. How can we operate together? Here in Aker Solutions, just mentioned, because I believe this is very important, we have a program, diversity and inclusive program, that, how can I say, challenge ourselves to leave the comfort zone and to learn with the difference. So this is also an opportunity. But I would say self-awareness and dare yourself to leave the comfort zone, as you say. As you said, with the support of your leader. You don't need to do it by yourself. It's not comfortable, as you said again, but if you have some support, you can move easier to this new position or to this new complexity that you face. And also use our programs to support you. So we have the mental health program here. This is a huge tool to learn about yourself. We have the mindfulness as well. So how can we learn about ourselves in the mindfulness program? So we have a lot of programs to support you in this journey and to apply more what about José told and shared with us. That's it.
Really good. And one of the things I really like in the people organizational approach we have in Aker is that people are the protagonists of their own careers, so they have to tackle the challenges, to be open to the challenges, and to really accept those, to develop themselves. This is something that really relates with the internal transformation that José Vicente said, so really nice. So
can I make a point? So when you mentioned, this is the, the edge of what you mentioned, what you're doing here, like, mindfulness programs and all this sort of soft skills. Because in the past, people, if I said, and I tried to introduce a mindfulness course at 5 when I was the dean of the business school. I tried to introduce it like probably 7 or 8 years ago, and people always say like, this is so our dean is crazy. So he loves like meditating and doing yoga. So this is part of his craziness. There's nothing. Yeah. So nowadays we do have a mindfulness course there, and so I think this is the state of the art and the edge of personal development nowadays, because, you know, we've talked about discomfort, feeling discomfort, and this feeling of discomfort will be bigger and higher depending on the level of involvement that you have with yourself. What I'm trying to mean is that when you can look at yourself, look at your problems, look at your mind, look at your emotions with some distance, you know, things get much better, you know, or at least less, less hard, you know. So this is the point about mindfulness. No, this is the mindfulness. Of course, is the corporative name for meditation, and meditation means the essential of the word meditation means get familiar with. So getting familiar with your mind, get familiar with your emotions, get familiar with yourself. I mean, and that's have all to do with the level of consciousness theory, because you will only be able to develop a more complex level of consciousness or really think from a more complex structure when you are able to see your current level of consciousness with an objective approach. So you're not dove into that's yourself anymore. So you can see objectively that self. So you're able to turn yourself into another self. So you're able to turn yourself into your consciousness into a new level of consciousness. That's all the vertical development is about, and that's why mindfulness and emotional intelligence and all this sort of soft skills, training and programs are so important today.
Really good. And we had a lot of people already participating on those sessions, but I could imagine that the next one will be a hit.
Great.
Really good. So I received some questions here that I'll be starting with you, José Vicente. So the first one is, how important do you feel collaboration and knowledge sharing is to generate unique opportunities for learning?
Very good, very good. I think it is core. I think collaboration, knowledge sharing is absolutely core for this learning process. And it also demands new level of consciousness. And so, and if you are, feeling kind of, not comfortable with having, to work in a more cooperative or in a more collaborative and sharing your work with others, with your peers, with your colleagues. So it's very likely that you are operating from the orange level of consciousness. That's why you're feeling, not comfortable with that. So, and that's a very important challenge, So you see, we're talking about developing the integrative level of consciousness, but before, you have to develop the green one. And the green one is all about cooperating, it's all about collaborating, it's all about sharing when we are working, and the problems you solve, the projects you develop. So this is really important. Nowadays we do have like very important and effective tools to do it. And so I think it's really core for organizational learning, this collaborative process.
Really nice, especially because this is one step to be the self-transformative, yeah?
Yeah. There's no skipping, no skipping. You cannot skip the green level in order to get to the teal one, okay? So you gotta first. There's an article that have been written, probably 4 years ago. There was a big discussion about the changing in level of consciousness. And the title of the article or this paper was a postmodern or green level of consciousness, because there's been a big discussion about the need for leaders to develop the self-transformative mind, self-transforming mind, or the teal or yellow level. Okay, but the article emphasized that green level of consciousness, or postmodern worldview, the only way out is through. Okay, there's no way to skip it. So you have to cope with those, cooperative, collaborative, and sharing, skills and ability. You have to develop those attitudes in order to be able to reach the teal level of consciousness. That's it.
Really good, really good. So another question here: what roles do principles and values play in this continuous improvement learning and self-reinventing mindset?
Can you repeat, please?
Yeah. What roles do principles and values play in this continuous learning and self-reinventing mindset?
Very good. This question leaves me an opportunity to talk a little bit about the different levels of internalization of values, right? So we see that we as persons, and each one of us, and also organization, we do have some values that we say like, okay, I believe in that. That's really important for me. So Aker Solutions has this value statement, right? And so do us, right? We do have like those values that, you say that I believe that that's really important for me. So we call that externalized values, right? That these are those values that we do, speak out. Well, but that doesn't mean that these values are internalized, and that doesn't mean that these values are shaping our behavior. That's really important. So we will need to internalize those values in order to shape our behavior. And that's a culture of learning, a culture of improvement, a culture of collaboration is really core in order to make those values available, in order to people start first, to make those values their externalized values. Secondly, start to internalize them in order to shape their behaviors. So that's a very important goal from the company side, to check if those values are really getting into artifacts, really getting into tangible behaviors, and also tangible results. So really, this is really important. So this is a very core point. And thirdly, that's the way we have to an opportunity to internalize even more those values in order for them to change the way we think, to change our level of consciousness. So level of consciousness is all about values, but they are about the deepest level of internalization possible, right? Because that value is so internalized that it simply shapes how you think. It's not only saying, this is important for me, or behaving, this is important, I must behave that way. No. The way I read the environment and I do my interpretation of the environment and my processing of those info that get from the environment into my mind, and the way I act out back to the environment is shaped by those so internalized values. That's all level of consciousness is about. So values are core because they must be available to people.
They became the essence, actually.
Yeah,
of people.
that's it. That's it.
Really good. So one last question. What are your advice to be sharp, efficiency, and lean on the learning process?
My advice?
Your advice to be sharp, efficient, and lean on learning process.
Great question. Great question. You know,
This came from an orange mindset.
okay. You know, I think nowadays self-awareness and others' awareness is the key skill, you know, for we to be sharper and for we to be smarter and for we to be more effective. That's the, you know, the most important skill, because the most important skill and the most important attribute one must have is continuous improvement, continuous development. And that demands, as we are supposed to face, you know, barriers that are connected to our current level of consciousness. So the only way for us to overcome these barriers is being aware, you know, being able to identify our thinking patterns, you know, and get a bit distant from them in order to, you know, make them objective and try new approaches to, you know, to cope with things and being able to develop new level of consciousness and new way of thinking. That's it.
Really nice. Thank you, José Vicente. And then I have a last one to Chiara now. So I would like to hear from you how a psychologically safe environment can contribute to this learning agility inside organizations. It's a nice one.
Really nice. Psychological environment is an environment where we can make mistakes, and that's okay, because we can learn from our mistakes. That's what it's a common understanding. So it's not possible to be innovative or to learn if we do not have this kind of work environment. And we are all responsible to create this environment. So when my colleague make a mistake, we can say, okay, what can we learn from this mistake? How can we operate differently? So they are very connected. If I'm in a work environment where I'm not comfortable to speak about my mistakes, how can I learn from my colleagues? How can I learn from my leader? So I would say they are very connected, and they are not one is linked to the other, and we are not able to be innovative or learn without a psychological environment, a psychological safety environment.
Really good. Thank you, Chiara. So then we come to an end of our session. Thank you everyone for being part. This session, as I said, will be available on the YouTube channel of Aker Solutions Brazil. So get in touch if you have any doubt even after the session. Please feel free to contact me. I think also the same for Chiara. And if needed also, I will do the bridge to José Vicente. I want to thank you, José Vicente and Chiara, to be part of this really good conversation.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And yeah, really looking forward to keep in touch with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.